Hey everyone, it's Julia, the Nomadic Crafter, here in Anza Borrego Park, and we're leaving today. It's Monday. Look right behind me. See that bird's nest right there? So adorable. Haven't seen any here. This is the only one I've seen. There is life in the desert. Oh, it is so amazing. I love that. Oh, my God, it's so cute. I can't see what I'm showing you really, but anyway. I just wanted to show you that little bird's nest. Bambi and I walked just all the way up that hill earlier. Look at it. Yeah, we walked all the way up this hill this morning. So last night, after I spent a long time in the parking lot of the library in Borrego Springs catching up on stuff, we just were looking for a place to park in the dark, and we came up on this spot that we had stayed at for 4 nights, the one with the fire ring. And so we just parked here again. And like I say, we're getting ready to go. So beautiful in Anza Borrego. It's just been such a great trip. You know, I came to San Diego to stop at my godmother's in So for a little bit and visit my brother and possibly my sister. We've been here for a year and a half. Didn't plan to stay that long. And so this is the first time we actually left San Diego and went anywhere. There's the van. It was a much needed break and peace, quiet, able to empty the van without getting talked to by a ranger. And amazingly, being able to just sit outside and crochet. Hi, Bambi. Sit outside and crochet while my dog's sitting outside as well has been really wonderful. Hello, baby. Oh. So yeah, the most amazing thing happened. So there's these two crows that are here, and it was just one before. When we were here before, he kept coming over here, looking at us, circling around, and he'd go back, rock, 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 come back, circle around, look at us. So last night when we arrived, did I see him last night? Or was it this morning? Anyway, he came back out, and I was like, oh, there he is. And he like lit up on this tree right next to the van. And then when I was changing this morning, cleaning up and changing, I was naked in the van. He was sitting there on the thing watching me through the windows. But before that happened, I looked out my window and I saw a bird start flying up here. And I didn't know it was the crow. It looked much smaller. And it came with its wings out, and it, flew over here, and it dropped its wings and began to go free fall down, and then flipped back, turned around, spread out its wings, and flew again. It was the most amazing thing. And immediately I realized that crow has intelligence. That was not something they just did, randomly from like an involuntary behavior. They specifically did like this acrobatic move. It was amazing. It was really beautiful to see. And again, I just think these animals out here, despite what we've been told by our religions, are conscious and intelligent. So, God dang it. So yeah, that was really beautiful to see this morning. And also, look at this stone. This rock. There's a fly in here. It's got these little things of... Here, let's go in the sun. Like mica, maybe, in them. Let's put it right here. No, let's put it right here. So pretty. So, yeah, really cool to be out here in nature. So I just fed Bambi, but she's not eating it, and we're pretty much done with this, so throw it over there. I mean, because I'm done with it. So I'll just throw it over there. It's no big deal. Like this stuff here. So we came back to this same spot, and someone had been here, obviously, because they used the firewood, but they left, more firewood. And I was like, oh, cool. A cute little family came, and they must have been delighted to find the starter firewood that they needed to get their bigger fire going. And then they left some. Cool. But then I saw all this trash that they left. Just all around this area, they left all of this trash. Cigarette butts. So you have a bottle of water. You're drinking water. That's good. But you take the top off and you just throw it. And they've got children. Little children with the little straws from the little juice things. And I don't know what the heck this was. It was halfway up the mountain. None of this stuff was here when we were here before. So, it's blowing in the wind. So, I just put oil on my body and hair. So now I just got it on my glasses. It gets on everything. So yeah, what is the deal with that? Yeah. What is the deal with littering? This whole idea that if you just throw it down, it somehow disappears, or perhaps if you're in the city, someone else is going to pick it up, someone who's paid. And I've literally been told by people, there's no problem with that. It gives someone a job to pick up the litter. Well, that may be, but maybe they could have a job bettering society in some other way if they didn't have to pick up the litter. Maybe we wouldn't have to pay taxes. Not that I pay so many, because I don't own property. Well, I pay van taxes. Maybe we wouldn't have to pay so many taxes if that person didn't have to have a job picking up litter after other irresponsible people. So what this is a lack of connection. This is a direct result of a lack of connection. This person or people do not remember that they're from the earth. How could someone come out to this most natural of environments, and it is, and leave their trash here after a family vacation? And their children are learning the same thing. Cigarette butts, bottle tops, and plastic. It's just disgusting. So when you throw something down, this whole concept of trash, there is no such thing as trash. This is, I don't know if I'd call it a closed system, but maybe that's a good term for just saying none of this stuff goes somewhere else outside of this system. We shouldn't really be making things that are disposable, because there is nowhere to dispose of it. Even if you shot it out into space, it would still be in the same environment, our solar system. We've got to be the stupidest species to make things that don't integrate back into the system, or that we don't find a way to reuse. And sure, we recycle. It's more important to reduce the use of those things in the first place. And if you can't, then to reuse them. And then finally, as a last-ditch effort, to recycle them. So reduce, reuse, recycle. That's the order of priorities. But this just represents a deep lack of connection. As soon as you throw that on the ground, it's done. It's separate from you. You have no responsibility for it. It's as if the people that litter think that they're just this orb of their body is the only thing they're responsible for. It's the only thing that they are. They feel that this is all they are, is this body, not anything outside of their body. And that's why they would be willing to throw something down on the ground like that. I just don't understand it at all. It's just a complete lack of awareness. This is sacred ground, and in particular, a natural area like this to just leave your trash around. I think that they should be docked for that they should have to pay something for that. But that paying something for it doesn't fix the mindset. So how are we going to wake up from this situation where we're seeing ourselves as so separate from everything else? Again, there is no place where you throw it over there. Nothing, there is no thing called trash. What is trash? It's just something you're avoiding looking at for a time. It's just something you're putting further away from your own body or house or community, so you don't have to deal with it and you don't have to look at it. And that's the problem. Not being aware of it, not looking at it, not dealing with it is why it exists. What we should do is whatever we create like that, we should have to have it right in our own home if we want to have that, and be responsible for turning it into something else or recycling it in some way. And if we can't do that, there shouldn't be any garbage services. There shouldn't be any trash services. Of course, then it'd be like Mexico, sadly, so filled with trash, because that would be taking self-responsibility for it. So, it's such a litter, and throwing stuff down on the ground is such a good example of how our society is so unaware of the circle, of the fact that this place is one giant integrated system. Because only a society that created disposable items, and not only disposable items, but if you really wanted to make disposable items, you could make bags out of cellophane, out of plant cells, which you can turn into cellophane, natural cellophane. I don't mean the plastic stuff. To invent something like plastic that lasts so long, and then make disposable containers and packages out of it that are meant to be used that one time, is the height of ignorance. So that experience, just seeing that there, it was really all the way out here. I'm not even in the city anymore, and people still do that. So just imagine, as the planet especially the western part of the planet where we do stuff like that, becomes more and more populated, what is it going to be like? Imagine it. That's the future for your children and your grandchildren. When people talk about like climate change or other environmental catastrophe, it's always 50 to 100 years in the future. And no matter how far along time gets, I remember us talking about this when I was 20, and it was 50 years in the future, and it was, 100 years in the future. Well, that's real easy to say because it makes it not our responsibility. And in talking with other human beings, they have responded to me. I've heard it numerous times. Well, I won't be alive then, so it doesn't matter. Or I'm not responsible for that, so it doesn't matter. Just imagine for a second what it's going to be like for future generations. It's going to get really, really ugly. Really, really smelly. Really, really expensive. And really, really segregated between those who can afford to live in a place and have services to take all of that trash and put it somewhere else, which will be where all the other people live that don't have enough money to have a private piece of property with security and fencing. And they will be the ones who live in the grime and sewage and trash that we're creating now and will be in the future. How far have we come with our awareness of and our recycling and all of that? Well, you can look at it both ways. Well, we've come a long way, or we've not come a long way. But I remember in the 70s, and I know from my studies, in 1970 or 1969, us humans saw the first picture of our planet from space, and that changed everything. The year 1970 was, I think it was 70, was the first year of the Earth Day. It was the first year of massive environmental legislation, the National Environmental Policy Act, the Endangered Species Act, the Clean Water Act, I believe, the Clean Air Act. All of those things were started in 1970. And why? It's not like it was the 60s. No, it's because we saw a picture of our planet, an image of our planet from space for the first time. And we gained this bump up in awareness of where we are and who we are and how small it was and how beautiful and blue and how alone in our solar system it was in terms of habitable planets. The more we look out into space, and now we've seen so far that we can see millions and billions of galaxies just like ours. And just think where we started, thinking everything revolved around the Earth, only to come find that the Earth revolves around the sun, only to find that the sun is just one of many stars in our galaxy, only to find that it is a galaxy, only to find that there are billions and trillions of galaxies out there. How far have we come? Well, that's what we need to do on this planet on a smaller scale, and realizing that everything doesn't revolve around us, that we revolve around the natural world. Because we are quite self-centered in order to be able to just throw our trash down on the ground like that, and further to even make something, we could conceive of this thing called trash that's outside of the loop, as if there's this other place where we just throw it over there. There is no over there. It's just here. It's all here. It's all the same thing, transforming, manifesting into different shapes and forms, dying and going back into the bank of energy and then being recreated into another thing. It's all one system, and it's really, really amazing. Let's not tread upon it. Let's be part of it. Not only should we not, destroy it, we shouldn't, it's not about saving the earth, it's about being the earth. Yeah, it's not about saving the earth like it's some separate thing that we need to save and then we need to decide between our needs or the earth's needs. It's not like that at all. It's all the same needs. It's all the same place. It's all the same life force that's expressed everywhere. So we don't need to save the earth. We need to be the earth. So be the earth. You are the earth. We need to wake up to what we really are. There's nothing we need to do to combat it or fight it or decide what are the important priorities, because we're always willing to save something as long as we don't have to change what we want to do, as long as it doesn't affect us too much. So when someone does, a company, say, wants to build something and does an environmental impact statement, which they're required to do through the National Environmental Policy Act. Yeah, when a company wants to build something and they have to do an environmental impact statement to determine the effect on species and habitats for that, they have to do that. And then it has to be signed off by the EPA or whoever. That doesn't mean they can't build it, and it doesn't mean that they can't harm the species. Now, there is protection for species and habitat up to a point. But really the question is, what is the priority? And we humans end up always being the priority. Even if something is saved, a species or a habitat, it's only saved for a time until the next threat comes up. The Arctic National Wildlife Refuge was saved. And then 10 years later, people tried to put out legislation to try and get it opened for drilling. And then it was saved. And 10 years later, people tried to open it up for drilling. It's never really saved through the legislation, through the EPA, through the National Environmental Policy Act. It's only saved for right then. Same with the small community where they're considering having some development and everybody rises up. No, we don't want that giant Walmart there. Well, that's just for right then. That protection where they defeated that development is only for right then. That company can come back 5 minutes later and put up the fight again. How many times can the people gather up the resources, energy, and time to make a stand enough to say, no, we really don't want that? How many times? All the companies have to do is keep pressing and pressing and pressing and offering money to the legislators of that little town until that development goes through, and that's how it works. So we're in real trouble with that, and legislation, environmental legislation, has some protection for us, but it's not foolproof. It's not really the way to go. The way to go is to realize that we are the earth that needs to be saved. We are it. And that's why I wanted to be a park ranger, because I realized the only thing that's really going to change anything is when people have an experience themselves that reconnects them with nature, that then allows them to have a new perspective on things where they make better decisions about it, and they wouldn't dare litter, nor would they dare even make packaging in the first place. That's the solution. That's where we need to get to. That's why I wanted to be a park ranger, was to help people reconnect with nature so they could make their own decision, and they would make the right decision, the healthful decision about it, as opposed to legislation, which is, commanding us to do something and forcing us to do something. No one's ever really going to do it if they're forced to do it. And that's the route that our society has taken, which is why I'm like a mix of liberal and conservative, because I am an environmentalist. I am an earth mama. I am a nature girl. And that's pretty liberal, I guess. But the other side of it, where the liberals would say, let's legislate everything to be protected, is not the way. So I'm conservative when it comes to over legislation and trying to tell everybody what to do in the nanny state, like California is. But I also love California because at least it gives a care, And I'll do a whole video about California too, now that I've been back for a while. So those are my thoughts on this litter experience that I've had this morning. We're going to go ahead and leave this beautiful area with much thanks and gratitude. And we're going to drive up into the mountain that is between this desert and San Diego. And I wonder if there's still snow up there. Who knows? But we've really enjoyed this place. Let's give you another view of it real quick. And we'll take that litter with us, by the way. Thank you, Crow. The silence is beautiful. Thank you so much for watching our video. My name's Julia, the Nomadic Crafter, and my dog Bambi and I live in a 96 Dodge van, which you can see right behind me. We send off a blessing for your well-being and consciousness today. Give it some thought. It's our responsibility to do that. It's our choice. We really have a big, big effect on how this whole thing's going to play out in the end and in the present. What is our experience going to be like? Well, we choose that to a large degree. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and put your comments below. Ciao.